Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CEO Lawyer Podcast, where we talk about law, life, and business. I'm your host, Ali Awad, the CEO Lawyer.
And I'm your co-host, Yusuf Kroma.
And today, we got an awesome topic for you. What we got, Yusuf?
Today, we're talking about how to build and leverage credit. All right, so I heard this crazy story about you buying a Cadillac Escalade, completely using a credit card, and then writing it off.
Yeah.
Is that true? How did you do that?
Yeah, okay. So, first, there's this Section 179 of the U.S. tax code that you need to know about. Basically, if you buy a 6,000 pound or more vehicle for your business, you can write off 100% of the purchase price. So let's say, for instance, you make $50,000 in your business, and then you buy a vehicle for $50,000. You can actually neutralize your income and say, hey, I made $0 this year because I bought this vehicle. Now, what if you bought that car with a credit card? That's exactly what I did. I bought the car with a credit card and then paid for it a year later. But the credit card had a balance transfer option. So I paid 0% interest on that vehicle for the next 12 months, got the tax write-off for the year before, and never had to pay that money up front. That's the importance of building your credit. So I would say that first, make sure you understand the tax code. But second, make sure you build your credit early on. So I wrote down a couple of notes here about the the most important types of credit that you need to have in order to build your credit successfully, the things that don't help your credit, and then 3 quick growth hacks, or 4 actually, on how to boost your credit right away. Should we just go into those, or you got some more questions?
Let's get into it, yeah.
Okay, so the way I got the car was through a credit card that had a balance transfer. I started getting these cards when I was like 19, 20 years old. The first thing I did was I went to Bank of America and I ordered a college credit card. They gave me like a $200 or $300 balance, credit limit, and I said, okay, I can't do anything with $200 or $300, so let me apply for a secured credit card. A secured credit card basically means that you give them the money up front for whatever you want the credit limit to be. So let's say you got $5,000 sitting in the bank and you want to be able to build your credit with it. Well, you can buy a secured credit card by giving them that $5,000 as collateral so that you can use that credit card up to a $5,000 limit. And then if you make your monthly payments and you stay on track and you don't miss any payments, you don't go into default, the card will graduate to an unsecured credit card, which is what everyone knows about when it comes to credit cards. Mm-hmm. And they will give you that $5,000 back. So that's what I did with Bank of America and with Wells Fargo. I decided to get 2 different credit cards and pin them against each other. Every time a company would give me a balance credit limit increase, I would call the other company and ask for them to raise my limit. So over the course of like 3 years, I went from having $2,500 in credit cards available balance to about $100,000 in available balance. And now, I have more money than I actually would ever need in terms of credit limit. But it's always there as a safety net, So if you want to build your credit, go to the bank and apply for a secured credit card. Even if you have shitty credit, you can just give them the $500, $1,000, whatever you want your credit limit to be, pay them that money, let them give you the credit card, and you use that credit card to make monthly payments. You always let them hit you with a little bit of interest. You want to show them that you can carry a balance. Usually within 11 to 14 months, that credit card is going to graduate. Once that card graduates, they give you that money back, and now it starts reporting to all 3 of those credit bureaus. Once you build that, every 3 months thereafter, you ask for a credit limit increase. Now here's the trick. Credit card companies do not verify your income. So if you tell them that you're making $600,000 a year, you have no debt, you have no child support obligations, you have no monthly payments, you don't owe anybody any money, they're not going to verify your income. They're not going to ask for your pay stubs and your credit history. They're not going to ask for your income statements or your tax returns. So as long as you give them a justifiable reason for why you need that increased credit, they're going to give it to you. All they care about is the fact that you can actually pay them back. That's why you want to carry a little bit of a balance, and you want to make sure that you're making those payments on time every single month. Now, what a lot of people don't know about credit is that you need 3 different types of credit hitting your profile. And the 3 types of credit, like the categories of credit, can be a mortgage, like a home mortgage. They can be a rent, like you have a home rental. They can be a car note, monthly payments, or a lease on a car. They can be a personal loan that you can get from a bank or other financial institution. There can be a credit card. And there's a few other different types of credit categories, but these are the main 5. And you want to at least have 3 of them. So when I was building my credit, I was reading about all of these different strategies for building your credit. And I realized that even though I had my credit card, I wasn't going to get into that 700, 800 category until I had something else on my credit. Well, I didn't want to have a car note because I didn't necessarily need another car. And it was too early to buy a home. So I actually went and got a personal loan from a local bank. Okay. They gave me like $600.
Okay. What's a good APR for if taking a loan?
I didn't care about that.
Okay.
I didn't need the money. Mm-hmm. I just literally got the loan just because I wanted them to report it to my credit. Mm-hmm. That's it. So you have to make sure that whatever you use in terms of your credit, you got to make sure that they're reporting to the credit bureaus.
Okay.
A home mortgage will always report to your credit bureau, all 3 credit bureaus. Usually rentals, if it's from a professional company, they're going to report to the credit bureau. Not always, but sometimes. A car note, when you're making payments to a car dealership, they will always report to all 3 credit bureaus. A lease from a professional institution will show up on your credit profile. Personal loans from a financial institution and credit cards from reputable companies like MasterCard, Visa, Discover, American Express. Here's where people mess up. Some companies do not report to the 3 credit profiles. So sometimes when you're renting like a cheap, $800 a month place and you're just paying someone cash, obviously that's not going to report to your credit. The biggest mistake that people make with credit is assuming that retail credit cards report to the credit bureaus. Retail credit cards only report to the credit bureaus when you miss a payment. So they're literally the worst type of credit card that you can get. The way that you know if you have a retail credit card or an actual credit card is to simply ask this question. Can I use this card at any place where American Express, Discover, Visa, or MasterCard are accepted? If the answer is yes, then you have a real credit card. If the answer is no, you can only use it at TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Home Goods, right? Then that's a retail credit card. So you have to make sure that you have a card that reports to all those financial bureaus, those credit reporting agencies. Okay. Now, debit cards don't report to the 3 credit bureaus. And the issue is that people they think they have credit, like they go to a buy here, pay here car lot, but really they're charging you 30, 40% interest on that car, so they don't really even check your credit. They just want to make sure that you're paying. Yeah. So the most important thing is to make sure that you are using your credit in such a way where the company is actually reporting to your credit for on-time payments, not just when you miss a payment. You know what else does not report to your credit? Your phone bill.
Really?
Yeah. So when you miss a phone payment, it's going to report to your credit. But when you're making on-time payments, it's not going to. So that's the problem, that people are thinking, oh, I'm building my credit by putting these things in my name. You have to make sure that it's actually reporting to all 3 credit bureaus. But if you're like, hey, Ali, man, I don't want another car. I can't afford to buy a house. I got a sweet deal paying $300 a month in rent with my roommates. I want to do something else. Well, here's some quick hacks to basically boost your credit right away. The easiest way to build your credit is to take advantage of someone else's credit. And you do that by making yourself another signee on their credit card. So another authorized user on their card. You make yourself an authorized user on a friend's credit card and you tell them, look, I don't even need another credit card. Just make me an authorized user, and if they send you another card, just shred it, burn it, get rid of it. I don't even need it. I just need that credit so that I can go and buy another car or make some moves or at least take advantage of that credit history. Now, there's some legality issue there because if someone is selling you access to their credit, that's illegal. But if someone's like, hey, look, I actually want to help you and you can just become another authorized user on my account, then it shouldn't be a problem. Someone's just doing that favor for you. With friends, family, people that you know, that's a great way to boost your credit. Another way to boost your credit is to either be a cosigner or have someone co-sign with you if you're buying a car or leasing a car or whatever. Becoming a co-signer is a great way to take advantage of 2 people getting that same access instead of 1. Now, when I'm going to go and buy a car for my wife or with my wife, I would never put both of our names on the same account now because we already have established credit. So you have to think, even when you have good credit, you don't want to just put your name on anything that comes your way because then it's just adding an extra layer of danger, honestly. Like, why would you put yourself in that position? So if you have good credit, there's no reason to put your name as a cosigner or someone else. You've already built good credit.
Okay.
Now, there is a point where you can have your name on too many things. You know, when you use your credit score goes down. When you don't use your credit score goes up. When you have 10 different credit cards and you're maxing out all of them, your credit score is going to go in the toilet.
Of course, yeah.
So you have to also understand that there's a process for building up your credit. So when you first apply to that credit card, it's going to hit you with some points because it's going to show you that, hey, this is when it shows that you've done applications and you have hard hits, they're called inquiries on your credit report, it's going to lower your points. A couple points here, a couple of points there. But the moment you pay off that credit card and you keep it paid off for, let's say, 2 months, those payments, the zero balance is going to report to all 3 credit bureaus, and then it's going to skyrocket your score. So there is a nuanced way of making sure that you have the highest credit. The easiest way to think about this is to never go above a 30% credit utilization. Okay? So if you have credit cards worth $10,000, don't show a balance of more than $3,000. Don't use that credit card for more than 30% of its available limit, because then credit card companies will think that you're using all of this money because you desperately need it. One thing you can guarantee about banks, credit institutions, and other financial organizations is that they will give you money when you can show that you don't need it. If you need money desperately, they're gonna give it to you hard. They're gonna have that crazy APR. They're not gonna give you the best rates. You're gonna get taken advantage of. But if you can show that you don't need it, i.e. by showing them that you have multiple cards, some are 10% utilization, some are 15% utilization, you have on-time payments on your monthly lease, you were an authorized user, authorized cosigner on someone else's credit card that's been around for 10 years, hey, this looks like established history. I have no problem giving you that money. Now, okay, cool, credit, I see it, I get it. I'm gonna be an authorized user. I'm gonna get that secure credit card. I'm gonna be a cosigner. Great, I got it. What's the point of all of this?
Exactly.
Well, here's the point. In 2018, when the year I made my first $1 million, I needed to get some tax write-offs. And by the end of the year, like December, the last week of December, I'm like, dude, I don't have cash because I actually got married and traveled and, this is expenses, right? I burned through some money, I get it. But I needed to offset my tax liability. So I got one of my credit cards, my Wells Fargo credit card, and just bought the Escalade on the credit card. It was about $50,000 purchase. That $50,000 became an automatic tax write-off for the business. As a business owner, usually you're in like that 30-40% tax bracket. So I saved like $20,000 on my taxes by buying that car. See what I mean? So it's like getting a 30 to 40% discount.
Wow.
By getting that tax write-off right then and there. Now, the beautiful thing is that even though I didn't have the money, because I had good credit, I could just pay off the car the year after. So I'd pay like $800 a week or $4,000 a month, whatever it was, I would make those monthly payments towards that vehicle. Now, with good credit, I was able to save $15,000, $20,000 on my taxes because I had those credit cards already built. But if you want to take it a step further, when I was in law school, I bought a 2013 or 14 Chrysler 300. I found it was online, like some sort of auction or something. I bought it for like $18,000 and I never even drove it. I literally pulled it up to the back of my shop. It got delivered. I bought it with a credit card for $18,000, put it on Craigslist, flipped it for $23,000. I made $5,000 on this car while I was in law school just because I had good credit. That was an opportunity that people don't have. So young people, and older people, if you're listening to this and you're paying attention, you have to build your credit. That's just how things work in America. Those opportunities will present themselves when you show that you can actually use your money properly. And the most beautiful thing about all of this is that when you build it up to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in available credit, and let's say you squander it, you lose all of that money, you lose the opportunity, you could literally file bankruptcy, and then 6-7 years later, it all gets wiped off of your credit. Even better, you could even have a credit reporting company clear everything off for you. So it's like, dude, it would be stupid to not take advantage of every opportunity within the credit world. So those are like the things that I wanted to discuss. I know we covered a lot of information, but what else do you think people might have questions about regarding credit?
All right, so we know that, like as you said, society is increasingly dependent on credit, whether it's taking a loan, wanting to buy or lease a house, get a car, take a personal loan. But in many communities, people are afraid to even start the credit process or don't learn about it until they have already damaged their credit. So what are some big barriers that prevent people from building good credit?
I think people are scared of having credit cards. You know, there's this whole movement where it's like, hey, cut your credit cards. You know, it's a waste of money. That's because they're financially illiterate and they're not disciplined in using the available credit that they have. Credit cards are awesome. I have like 10 of them. I have credit cards for every single type of thing, and I take advantage of the mileage and the points and all the perks and the rewards and the benefits. Credit cards are awesome if you know how to use them. It's just like with everything else. Money is great if you're a good person. Money is evil if you're a shitty person. Same thing with credit. If you don't know how to use it, it's going to use you. That's why people are scared, because they think that by having a credit card, now, oh, I have access to all this money and other people are going to take advantage of it.
Sure.
What you lack is discipline. What you lack is financial literacy. What you lack is the ability to focus on your finances and use credit cards instead of letting them use you. So the biggest fear that people have is, oh, I might get into too much debt.
Yeah.
Well, what if you applied for a credit card and never used it? Or you just used it for one bill? I currently do this right now. I wish I had my wallet here, but I have a Citi card, a Chase card, all these other different cards, and they only give you like $10,000, $20,000 credit limits. Those are not really that useful for me when you're running a business that spends millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But it's great to have it if there's an emergency. So one of my cards only has one account on it. I basically pay a $50, $100 bill every single month. And I auto pay it from my checking account to that credit card because it shows that I'm able to build that credit. But I don't care about the actual credit card. I care about the perks that the card can give me. So every few months I ask for a credit limit increase, and whenever I need it, I can pull $20,000 balance transfer from this card, $30,000 from this card, $50 from this one, $70 from this one. I can pull together $300,000, $400,000 like that, buy a property or a car or an investment, and flip it in 12 to 18 months' time, 0% interest, because I built up my credit. So I'm prepared for opportunities. That's what credit does for you. It isn't an opportunity. It prepares you for opportunities. Because when you're building up your credit, it's going to get lower. But if you understand that I need to go through this because 2-3 years from now, when I need to make a move or something happens, I have this availability for me, and it's just a smart financial move. And it's also a safer way to have a safety net. So instead of having a lot of money saved up, like a lot of cash saved up, I would say have a bunch of credit cards available with balance transfers. You know, having $10,000 sitting in the bank as a safety net is actually not a smart financial move because your dollar is depreciating at a rate of 3% and now 7% per year. Wow. Inflation is like 7% in 2021. That means your dollar is losing value if it's not some place that it's earning more than 7%. So having money saved to the side is not a smart idea. It should be utilized for something that actually makes you more money. So instead of having that problem with money, why not use it with credit? It's not like it's actual money that's available. And when you have it, you start thinking about, okay, how can I use it to invest? How can I use it to grow? How can I use it to pay off certain debts that cost me a lot of money in interest, right? How can I pay off this expense that's just been looming over my head? So credit gives you those opportunities. And I think that if people just start disciplining themselves, getting credit cards and only using them for a very limited amount and thinking, oh, I got $3,000 available on this card, and thinking I only have 30% of it available, max, I think that's where it starts. It's just financial discipline.
Okay, so you're talking about financial discipline, financial literacy. Many people think that if they incur debt, that this debt will then transfer to their family members if they pass. Is that true?
No, that's not true. Your debt, your personal financial obligations don't pass along to your family members or your heirs. Who says that? Like, people actually think that?
People do think that.
No, it's not like assets. Like, your assets transfer to people, but your debt does not. Now, if you owe money to the government and the government files a lien on your property and then your family is living in that property, then yeah, your debts are being passed along to your family members, of course. But if you have a $20,000 credit card and you haven't paid the balance and you just die, your kids are not going to have to pay that credit card. It's just not how it works, you know? So the easiest way to get out of paying a credit card is just to die. That's the easiest way.
So can somebody be arrested for debt? That's another question as well.
No, we got rid of that like in 1802. Like, they had debtor's prison back then, you know? Like you can't go to jail for owing money. You can only go to jail for not paying the government, which is like tax evasion. But as long as you answer their, well, they don't even call you, as long as you answer their letters, right, and you try to at least make an intention or a strategy to pay off that debt, you're going to be fine. You're not going to jail. That's the beautiful thing about America, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, no matter how much you owe, you're not going to jail. So you out there hustling and grinding, you owe everybody money. You know, everyone's got that one uncle or that one cousin that they owe a lot of. Hey, man, every time I see you, you always got change. You always got cash on you. Where's my money at?
Yeah,
oh,
right.
man, you know, it's a checking account, a savings account, you know, and the way a savings account
It's set up like
But that's it, man. That's credit in a nutshell.
Excellent. So I have another question. How do I find out more credit? Okay, yeah. So the question is, how do I find out what my credit score is, and what is good credit? How do I know if I have good credit?
I think 700 plus is a good credit. Like anything above 720, I think, or 750 is considered excellent credit. Anything from like 680 to 720 is considered good. Anything under 680 is considered fair. If you're in the low 600s, high 500s, or anything below that, you're in the poor credit club. If you get above 700, you're doing fine. If you're like above 750, you're excellent. You can get approved for literally anything that you want. But you need to have those 3 different categories of credit and to build it up. And credit history is the most important thing.
Okay.
So don't ever apply for a credit card if you don't intend to use it for more than 10 years. If you apply for a credit card, you use it for 3 years, and then you shut it down, your credit history gets lower. So when you're applying for these retail credit cards, and you, like for instance, when I was 18 years old, I applied for a PacSun credit card, Pacific Sunwear. It gave me a $150 credit limit. I was not wearing PacSun when I got to law school, you know? So that credit card actually hurt me because even though it was reporting to the credit bureaus, I was not getting the benefit after I closed the credit card. So make sure that any credit card that you have, keep it open just for the benefit of having that credit history, and make sure that you try to open as many of them as possible early on, good credit cards, so that you can build that history over time. So the average account history is higher across the board. If you open up a new credit card every single year, it will eventually go up, but it's much slower. But if you have 5 credit cards open at the same time, and you wait 5 years, your average length of history on all of those accounts is 5 years. But if you open up a credit card every single year, your average credit history is 3 years. So it makes more sense to have all of your credit cards open in the front end so that you can delay the length of the time that the history is open, if that makes sense.
Okay, it does actually. And you mentioned this thing about having one uncle or one cousin in the family that never pays off debt, right? It'll be the same uncle or cousin that'll come and, hey, I'm trying to buy this Cadillac, Ali. Do you mind co-signing with me?
Absolutely not. I don't co-sign on. Now, I mean, look, if the easiest way to get rid of friends and family members is to loan them money. So sometimes if someone is asking me for a low enough amount and I know that this is the last time I'm ever going to see their stupid, ugly face, then I just give them that money because I know I'm never going to get it back. But no, I never co-sign anymore. I mean, I'll co-sign for my family, like people that I care about, people that like, hey, look, if anything were to happen to you, I will personally take over your debt.
Yeah.
That's what co-signing means. I'm not going to do that for just anyone, you know, especially not people that I just met within the past year, 2 years, you know what I mean? But, you know, even with that being said, I think people use their credit for the wrong reasons. Like, you should treat your credit more importantly than you treat your cash. Because cash is really worthless. It's a depreciating asset. Unless you're using it for something beneficial, it's not going to go very far. But credit is unlimited. You can always go deeper and deeper and deeper with your credit. So I would protect your credit way more than I would protect your cash.
I just had even a guy recently came and like, hey, you said you have good credit. There's some land available. We can build this house. Just use your credit. We'll come up with the deals. You use the credit to close the deal. Now you said being prepared for an opportunity, but you have to also evaluate risk as well, right?
Yeah, I don't do those kinds of deals because I've already been burned a lot. The truth is, I'm not a gambling man because gambling is against my religion. But if I were to gamble on anything, it's going to be on me. Yeah. So if someone wants to use my credit for an investment project that they're using, the answer is always no. If it's a project that I'm doing myself and I believe in it, then I will not allow myself to fail. But if you're putting your name on someone else's project and they're utilizing your credit, they can always get out because they have very little risk.
Sure.
So don't ever use your name or sign your name on anything, any contract, any credit card, any cosign, unless you are 100% willing, ready, and able to take control and ownership of that financial obligation if the other person defaults. Never cosign unless you're 100% sure that if that person defaults, you're ready, willing, and able to take that financial obligation.
Okay, I have a technical question as well.
Cool.
So if you have a credit history, maybe you had bills, insurance bill, whatever the case may be, and you default on that bill, and then it gets reported to a collection agency, do you pay it off if you have the ability? Do you negotiate, or do you write a letter and try to get it taken off? What's the best method?
Okay, I think that you can either go online, spend 10, 20 hours researching everything you need to know about credit bureaus, research the laws, and figure out how to dispute all of those things on your credit by yourself. I have copies of all of those letters that people send to their credit bureaus. If anyone is listening to this and they need a copy, just DM me credit at CEO Lawyer on Instagram and I'll send them to you for free. This is stuff that credit companies charge like $5,000, $2,000 to do all the time. You got to send letters to these credit reporting agencies. Now, the only thing is, when you get that thing removed off of your credit, the moment the collections agency goes back and reports it on your credit, it's going to show back up along with all of its history.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't delete the obligation. It only deletes the reporting of that obligation. So if it's a $200 balance, you can call the credit agency and then just tell them, hey man, let me negotiate it for $150. It's still going to show up on your account. But then when you get it removed from your credit report, it's never going to come back. You see what I mean? So sometimes if you're just trying to get approved for something and you don't really care, then just get a credit company, credit cleaning repair company to just delete it off your credit. You go and apply for a credit card or a car or a home or whatever. But after 90 days, there's a good chance that default can come back on your credit history. But the foolproof way to do it is to negotiate with the collections agency and pay it off, and then get it removed off of your credit. That way you make sure that it never comes back. However, if it's a very big balance and there's just no way that you could possibly pay it, then don't do it. Because I'm not gonna pay someone 50 grand to pay off this account because I know after 7 years it's just gonna fall off on its own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you have to give and take. Like, what's more important to you? Is the opportunity cost of having low credit for the next 3 to 7 years higher than the cost of actually paying off that bill? It's a subjective question. You have to decide on your own.
Wow, excellent insight. Thank you for sharing that information with us. The importance of building and leveraging your credit.
Absolutely. I think this was a good show, bro. This was a good one. We got to do more of those. You know what I mean? But hey, that is the CEO Lawyer Podcast, where we talk about law, life, and business. Join us next time with Ali Awad, the CEO Lawyer, and my co-host,
Yusuf Kroma,
where we're just going to give you more gems that you absolutely cannot live without. I'll see y'all next time.